we're going to start with the yoke walk. Now, I'm going to start from the ground up on this. Now, the first thing you want to do is have the height set. I've seen in contests a lot of times people have the height set too low, too high. That's really going to mess you up, especially having it too high. If it's too high, you're going to bang on the ground. You got to take into consideration, when you get your yoke height, you usually do it with no weight on it like I have it right now. Now, when you get in the contest you're about to go, you're going to have 5, 6, 7, upwards of almost 1,000 pounds sometimes. That's going to shrink you a little bit, so you want to have it set to the right height. So one thing I like to do when I do that is I'll get set here, I'll actually move it around a little bit, just swing it, just to make sure that it's not going to touch. And that's also easy enough for you to pick up, because you don't want to have to squat this thing up and do all your work, tire yourself out before you have to actually start moving. So once you get the right height set for you, the setup on this is going to be very important, because a lot of contests or this event can be won and lost on just the starting of this. So first I get my hands set. Now, I've seen very, very rare that people can actually do this well with their hands in the crossbar. I wouldn't recommend that. So you want to have your hands set on the bars right here, so this way I can control it, because you're going to see as I move with this, it's going to swing a little bit. So if I can hang on to these and control them better, it's going to swing less and make this a lot easier for me. My hands are up here, I can't control that, it's going to move more. So I grab onto here. Now how high or low is really going to depend on your shoulder flexibility. Mine's not that great. I grab a little bit lower. I've seen people even hold it way down here. You're going to have to play around with that, but I'm going to grab it right here for me. Now once I get my hands set, you're going to have the bar in a high bar position like you're comparing to a squat. So if you have it low bar, again, I've seen people do this, if I have it too low, when I stand up with this and it gets heavy, it can actually slide off my back. All right, so you want it in the high bar position on your upper traps. So we get that set right here. Now, sometimes people have a lot of pain doing this. If it's too high, my neck about here, it's going to be on your bone. That's going to hurt. You don't want that. So get it set your upper traps and your muscles. So you want to pull your shoulder blades together, and that's going to create a shove. Now, next, once you have it in the right position, get your feet set. Another mistake is I see people start too far back. So you can see my feet are behind the bar. If I stand up with this, and like I said, I have a lot of weight on here, I'm just going to lean forward, I'm not going to get moving too well. So you want to have your feet right underneath this bar. And if you see my stance here, you don't want to get too wide. Okay? Some of you may squat in a wide stance and think the yoke is not a squat. Okay? So if I start wide, I now have to, when I walk, I now have to bring my feet in. I'm only going to waste time here. My feet are under the bar, I'm in a fairly narrow stance under my hips. So as soon as I pick this up, I can start walking with it. Okay? Before I do that, I'm also going to arch my back real hard. I'm going to get my head up. I like to pick my elbows up. If I do that, I feel it's going to get my traps up a little higher. That's going to create a better shelf for me. So if I put my elbows high, head up, arch, this is where I start. I take a big breath in, and as soon as they say start, I stand up with authority here. You don't want to stand up slow and think, oh, this is heavy. You want to really come up with this thing fast and take off with it. Now, once I get all set up here and I'm ready to go, you want the hips in front of the bar when you're moving. So when I start going with this, my hips stay in front. You're going to run into trouble, especially if it's heavy. I'm going with it and I start doing this, like I said, behind the bar. There's a lot on your lower back and not a place you want to be in. You're going to lose it. All right, another little trick as I'm walking with this is I try to push it forward, almost like a bench press, because I'm going to, one, be tight in my back. That's very important here. You want to be tight, and I can actually push it forward. That's going to carry me forward faster, okay? And also, with moving of the feet, you don't want to take a big step. You'll see this already moves when I stand up. If I take a big step, it's going to move more. Okay, you want to minimize that. So what you want to do here is now you're pushing forward, short choppy steps. You're going to be a lot faster that way. Okay, so if I get big ones, it moves more. Short choppy, I can control it better, and it swings less. All right, now we're going to go over the front carry. Now, the front carry is good if you don't have Conan's wheel, if you're going to compete, and you have to do the Conan's wheel. So a lot of times, we'll just substitute the front carry in here. Now, the front carry first is very, very uncomfortable for a lot of people because when you pick this up, the bar sits right in your diaphragm, so it's very hard to breathe. So a couple little tricks to get around that when you have to pick up the speed on this. So again, starting the setup, it's going to be the same as the yoke walk. Just cover as far as your feet go. You don't want to be wide, you want to get a fairly narrow stance so you'll be able to walk with this. So you're going to start here by taking your dominant hand, and then this is how I do it. I take my right hand under here first. I want to get it fairly high up on me. I don't want it like a front squat because I've seen people that try that and they fall backwards and lose it. But I want it higher up. As I get moving, it's going to slide. So you're going to be almost down here by the time you're going to give out. That's fine. But try to get it higher up as when we first start. So I take my right arm, get it deep in there, and I'm going to take my left and put it right on top of here. Now, once I get this set with my arms, I'm going to take a big breath in. I get my feet set under the bar. Now, to pick this up, I'm not going to pick it up like this so you see where my hip position is. I want the hips again forward. So when I pick this up, I take a big breath. I pop my hips right underneath this to get this going, okay? If I'm out here, I'm going to pick it up, and it's going to feel way, way heavier, okay? So the big breath in is probably the most important part here. Because once you get this on you, especially if you're a couple hundred pounds, you're not going to be able to breathe hardly at all. Maybe a tiny bit of air here and there with whatever you can. So take a big breath here, bring your hips in. And once I have it, again, short choppy steps, same thing. You take big steps, it's going to move. Now, the key here is not basically passing out, which actually happens quite a bit here, is as you pick it up, if you hold your breath and stay as tight as possible with this much weight sitting on you, it's very common to black out. A lot of you guys doing the Strongman contest, you've probably seen it happen with a opponent's wheel or a front carry. So you want to hiss air out as you're going. That's really important. So when I pick this up, I take a huge breath of air in, put it right in my belly, and then I'm going to just slowly, slowly, slowly let it out the entire way. So it looks like this. I can also see as I'm doing that, I'm letting a little bit of air out. Another important thing here is I look up on a yoke walk, I look way up on a front carry or Cohen's wheel. I'm looking up to the ceiling the whole time like this. The reason for that is, if I start looking down, I'm gonna go right down with this. I'm not gonna be able to carry anymore. So I have my head up, short choppy steps, and I'm just letting a little bit of air out as I go. Okay? How to press the yoke, which you'll see sometimes in the contest. And also, it's great for stability. I like using this because if anyone has trouble with a log, a dumbbell, they have trouble stabilizing the top, this is a great one to work on. So we're gonna start with how to press this first. Now, you can press this a couple ways, just like you could a barbell or a log in Strongman. You can strict press it, which I love that for. You can push press it. When you start doing a jerk on this, that's where it gets a little tougher, so I'll go over how to do that. So if I'm gonna strip press this, I'm gonna use a false grip on it, just because any yoke you're gonna see is gonna have at least a 2-inch bar. This is a 3. So I go with a false grip on this one, so I can keep my wrists in line. And I press it right away. I don't waste too much time getting this thing up. So as soon as I get under it, and same as we just went over with the yoke walk and the yoke carry, you're gonna have the feet underneath it, and you're gonna be up front. So when I get my feet underneath this, I'm gonna take a big breath in, I'm just gonna shoot this run over my head. And then we press that for reps. As I'm saying, strict to it, okay? You can see if you're doing this, it's swinging just like it would on the walk and the carry. So if I push press it, you can get a little bit of leg drive in there, but you see now it's gonna move more. So after I press this off of that first rep, and I try to get a little leg drive, it's just to move a little bit more. Now, if I try to do a jerk where I try to get under it, which is usually what I'm a little better at, if I was to do some contest for a heavy weight, I try to drop under a tiny bit. But you're gonna see this really move, so you're gonna have to brace your abs really tight when you do that. So I come with it. Now, if I'm gonna try to under, you can see that move a lot more. I wouldn't recommend doing a split jerk on this, because that's gonna move a whole lot more. But a push jerk, my favorite way to get under this pressing. Okay, so now we're gonna go over, this is just a good accessory work to do at the end of your workout, if you say you have this for a press coming up, you're gonna carry this overhead. Now, I've never seen that in a strongman event. It's just something I like to end with for fun at the end of a training session. So press it up however way you want. And from there, you're gonna hold this as high as you possibly can. You do not wanna let your elbows bend whatsoever. So I'm pushing this up as high as possible. Keeping my head up a little bit. Now I'm just gonna walk. Brace my abs really tight. You have to stay very, very focused here.